It's Ridge Racer.
Ridge Racer! Remember that one?
Back in August, I tried to beat Ridge Racer 64 using the Caddy car. It's a car built for speed, but lacking in every other stat. I went through a lot of trials and tribulations throughout that challenge, and almost reached the very end of the game, but I couldn't get past the final 3 Expert Extra levels because of the game's progression system working against me. Even though on paper, the Caddy car speed should have been more than enough to keep up with the competition. This was the first ever challenge that I deemed unbeatable, and I came to this conclusion after hours and hours of playing through Ridge Racer Expert Extra, somehow never being able to get the first place car to spawn at the end. My smoking gun was completing the race in second with the Caddy car with a time of 3 minutes and 3 seconds. No first place car to be found. Then when using a different car with lower speed and higher acceleration, I beat the race in first place with a time of 3 minutes and 2 seconds. Something was definitely wrong there, and I believe that it was partially a skill issue, but mostly because of the Caddy car's poor acceleration. While I deem this challenge unbeatable, I still kept an open mind and left it up to anyone else out there who might be willing to tackle this. The Caddy car has a max speed stat after all, so maybe someone other than myself could find a way to utilize it to its full potential. Well, not too long after I published that video, I received a few messages from those who watched it and decided to give this challenge a try for themselves. With their permission to use their footage, I'm going to do my first ever failed challenge run follow-up to see if you can truly beat Ridge Racer 64 only using the Caddy car. Before you continue watching, I highly recommend checking out the original video I put out on this challenge. It'll provide more details on the game and the frustrations I faced.
Oh no!
Also, I'd like to take a moment to explain a core mistake I made when attempting this challenge, aside from calling the tachometer a speedometer. When I attempted this, I didn't play in first-person mode, which is basically crucial for some of these older arcade-style racing games. It's the optimal way to play and reduces lag. My motivation for playing in third person was really just because I wanted to. That and the first-person perspective seemed nauseating to me. I've since changed my mind on that, and completed another challenge in first person, because it was impossible to play otherwise. The first run I have to show is by Sandwich Kernel. They ended up completing Ridge Racer Expert EX in third person, where I couldn't. Take a look at how intense things get in the final lap. With a time of roughly 2:57, they crushed my time of 3:03, and got the first place car to spawn, debunking my theory that the Caddy car might not be fast enough to do so. When talking about the run, here's what Sandwich Kernel had to say. My biggest tip would be to never use the third-person camera. It lags too much behind the car and makes drifting incredibly confusing. In first person, this took me a couple tries, while it took me nearly an hour in third, even with my muscle memory from using the first-person cam. Aside from that, enemy car AI is very spotty, and collisions are greatly weighed in their favor. You'll need good luck with the spawns. I tried the other Expert EX courses with the Caddy car, and they were much easier. Extreme EX courses are impossible with it as far as I know. So with a few tries versus an hour of attempts, it's pretty clear that there's a huge difference between playing in first person and third person. Sandwich Kernel also says that they were able to easily complete the other Expert Extra courses, where I again failed to complete them in my run. While I don't have any footage of those races from them, I do have one more run to show from someone else who rose to the challenge. Their name is Hostus. They went the distance and created a tool-assisted speedrun of the main game using the Caddy car. If you don't know what a tool-assisted speedrun is, it's gameplay where the player has the help of tools that let them do things they normally couldn't. This could be pressing impossible button combinations, or slowing the game down to achieve super precision or reaction speeds, or even reading the game's memory to basically predict the future. Hostus blew this challenge out of the water, not only beating Ridge Racer Expert Extra, but the rest of the Expert Extra tracks and the Extreme tracks. To pull this off, Hostus executed a speedrun strat known as drift boosting. To explain drift boosting, Hostus says that when you drift, the game separates your current speed from your engine's RPM, and when you exit a drift, the game restores your speed using those RPM values. This means that if you start a drift in the third gear near the red line, then quickly change to the sixth gear while still in the drift, you can accelerate much faster than by driving normally. But there's more. If you're already at a high speed in the sixth gear, gear, then shift down to 4th or 3rd right before a drift, the game preserves this as a massive spike in RPM. When you shift back to the 6th gear while still in the drift and exit it, you'll get a massive spike in speed that the car could likely never achieve naturally. Along with this, Hostus provided me with a thorough explanation on their run and what may have went wrong in mine. So while I continue to show off their skills, I'll talk through some of the key takeaway points. In my case, running Ridge Racer 64, I mostly just slowed the game down so I could optimize the Caddy's cornering and drifting, the latter of which is actually as bad as you'd imagine. I learned that there are many small details in how Ridge Racer 64 does things that work against the Caddy, like how acceleration actually works. If it's slow enough, it actually prevents you from ever reaching the car's max speed, which is the Caddy's case. How important grip is to how we drift in Ridge Racer. The Caddy literally has no grip, which means not only it's hard to exit a drift, it doesn't clear corners as well as other cars. I kid you not, how tall the Caddy's 3D model is can actually obstruct our view in third-person camera. I wanted to make the entire run in third person, but the precision loss was too harsh. To corroborate with your suffering, Ray, my emulator keeps track of whenever I load a save state as a re-record. Some of the tougher tracks, and specifically their drift segments, costed me up to 200 re-records to get things as satisfying as I had the patience to. In other words, even accounting for 75% speed reduction, tracks like Revolution Expert took me upwards of 50 minutes to finish. The main concerns that led me to trying this came from your challenge. When you eventually had such a frustrating experience, I welled a curiosity as to what went wrong. From the get-go, I knew the challenge was a failure, not because you're bad at this, but because the Caddy, without a recently discovered exploit, simply can't place first on Extreme Extra. But knowing the Caddy is a speedrun favorite, I was puzzled that you were having such a hard time later into the game, so I went in. And boy, I get it now. The Caddy is simultaneously too slow to pick up speed and too fast when you need to control it. Its decent handling actually makes it pretty easy to crash if you're not used to the game's controls, and the barely there acceleration punishes you harshly for crashing. It's basically a perfect storm of frustration. Multiple times later in the run, you complained that drifts weren't going through, but as I tested, something a lot dumber was happening. With the way drifts work in Ridge Racer 64, you can end them earlier if you align perfectly with the race line the game uses. Now, tell me what happens when you start a drift while aligned to that race line. Your drift cancels exactly after it starts. It's probably what was happening to you. You were pointing in all the right directions at all the wrong times, leading to wall bumps. I suspect the Switch Online emulation of this game is flawed. I never went through the issues you had with the other CPU cars, nor the weird graphic glitches. Those are weird symptoms for an official emulation to have, and makes me suspect more could be going wrong, but I don't have hard evidence yet. Well, that was certainly a lot of information. I'm sure some of you out there might want me to cut to the chase and give you the answer. With patience, changing the camera view, and learning the proper speedrun strats, yes, you can beat Ridge Racer 64 only using the Caddy car. This failed challenge run has been officially debunked. It's awesome to see people come together to help figure these out when the going gets rough. And I want to sincerely thank Hostus and Sandwich Kernel for showcasing their efforts. Originally, I was going to end this video right about here, but after seeing all the work that Hostus and Sandwich Kernel went through to prove me wrong, I felt like it would have been an insult to their efforts to not at least try and beat the one level that led me to calling it quits. Given the knowledge I have now, minus learning the speedrun strats, here's my most recent attempt at Ridge Racer Expert Extra using the Caddy car. I don't know if I did it or not.
You did it! You're the champion!
Holy shit, we did it! Oh my god! That's what I'm fucking talking about, dude! That's what I'm talking about! Oh my god! Oh my god! I am
at him!
I want you all to know that this run did not come easy. I spent nearly 5 hours here before I even got first place to spawn, and when that moment finally happened, it didn't take much longer for me to cross that sweet finish line. Though I am still kind of shocked I won that race, and it was all done in one go. No save states or extra help needed. I will say that drifting earlier in the spot that was giving me a lot of trouble helped out a ton. When it comes to challenge runs, sometimes I mess up, and there are those out there who have definitely let me know when that happens. Criticism is always welcome, and I think these two went about showing me where I went wrong in the best possible ways. They showcased their skills and addressed the things I missed the mark on, all the while being uplifting and encouraging, and that helped ignite my desire to revisit this challenge, or at least part of it. Hostas would like to thank the Ridge Racer 64 speedrun community for their passion, specifically QXC for explaining how to drift boost, and Sandwich Colonel says you can catch them on Blue Sky if you want to drop a follow. Lastly, I want to apologize for taking so long to make this video, especially since these two both replied to me within a month's time frame after the original video's release. Sometimes time can get away from you while you're having fun, but as they say, better late than never. It feels kinda odd to give my usual end of the video spiel, so I'll sign off on this one by skipping to the end and saying thanks again for watching everyone, and I'll see you in the next video. Oh, no, I want to play snowboard, kids.